Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Yakov.
I was muted. I didn't realize. You know if the other committee members are joining tonight?
I haven't received any notices that anyone was unavailable when we sent the follow-up.
We have the new community affairs officer with us tonight as well. Victoria, thank you for joining us. I think we should listen. I think we should start, and we should just we will the people join, they join. If not, not. It's 7:05. Thank you all for joining us to Public Safety Committee meeting, February 2022. We have on the agenda tonight 2 renewal applications for a liquor license, and we also have the community affairs officer from 71st with us tonight because it's evening, and the inspector's joining also. I can't hear you, you're muted.
That he is supposed to, I sent him the link. The problem was the original link, it wasn't working. So I just sent him the meeting ID once again.
Oh,
Hopefully he'll join in with that.
thank you, Inspector Hayward.
How are you?
Thank God, it's been a long day.
You and me both.
Yes. So because NYPD is here and it's evening, I want to ask them to open up the meeting. So they don't have to stay through the rest of the meeting. Victoria, mazel tov, as we say, congratulations on taking over Mike. And I know, Mike, I know you guys are still, I spoke to Mike a few times today, so I know that you're still in communication. Even, and he's gonna still help out, and thank you, Inspector, as well. There's been a number of shootings in Crown Heights over the last few weeks. There was a murder a few weeks ago as well on Empire and Kingston, separate from the other attacks. There's also been a few mugging incidents, and if you could give, if either the inspector or officer, if you could give just a quick rundown about what's going on, which we will include in the minutes of the meeting, and we will distribute it to the full board. And then Mia, you could ask the executive committee if there's a need to ask the officers to come in front of the full board as well. I would recommend, officer, that you come to be introduced at least once, maybe if it's too busy this month, maybe next month, just so the community should get to know you, and maybe in an official capacity, Mia, we could maybe make an introduction. But if Inspector, maybe you could start by giving us a quick rundown about what's going on in Crown Heights and what we, the Public Safety Committee and the community, could do to help and assist.
Yeah, what happens is on January 27th, we take a shooting, a gang-related shooting in the vicinity of Ebbets Field over by on Montgomery. That shooting sets off several violent acts for that whole week, January 28th and January 29th, just of folk gang members and Crip gang members shooting back, taking shots back and forth at each other. We have since, I think we got a hold on things. The borough has supplied extra resources to us. We had extra 13 cops added to the command on the day shift. And then we had an extra 8 cops added to the command for the evening and the midnight shift. I also had 5 light towers put up in the vicinity of Ebbets Field to kind of brighten up the area at night, even though the shootings were taking place during the day, which was very odd. Because when we take an uptick in shootings, even not just here, but across citywide, it's usually from 6 to 2, 3 in the morning. So it was weird to see shootings at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. But like I said, I think we got a good handle on it. The city's actually going to give us extra resources of more cops for weekend coverage, an extra 24 cops for about a 6-hour shift at night. And we got more unmarked patrols. We have a lot of extra cops. And I think that the extra cops made this week a much quieter week. Like you said, the instances that we saw on Empire Boulevard was completely separate than what was going on at Ebbets Field. In one instance, there was a Jewish gentleman walking home on Empire, and he got robbed. He got surrounded by 3 guys, and a description went over the radio right away, and we actually arrested the individuals. So that was it was a horrible incident, but on the good chance, the police responded in a very, very quick response, and the dummy was wearing a very identifiable jacket, the perpetrator, so he was caught right away. The funny story is, me and Victoria actually were commenting on the perpetrator's jacket as we were driving to the precinct that night, and little did we know, 5 minutes later, he would be doing a robbery. And then on top of that, we did take a shooting on Empire. That also has nothing to do with the gang shootings of the prior week. That incident is an incident of individuals that have long criminal histories. That it was a robbing gone bad, but all 3 parties that were involved had criminal ties. They knew each other, so it wasn't an off thing. It was and the investigation's ongoing, so I won't speak too much, but we're headed in the right direction with it.
You feel, because what I'm seeing is, like you said, in the shooting in broad daylight, there were some other, it seems to be like really brazen crimes, like open and like no shame, no fear. Is there are any of these other muggings connected to some of the stuff going with the gangs, or just part of the larger issue that's being dealt with now in the city with crime that we're hoping that the new administration gets a handle on?
No, those had the Empire incidents that are completely 100% separate.
And not the Empire, the fact that these things are happening in the broad daylight, that there's,
broad daylight shootings, I think social media had a lot to do with it. Guys posting up on social media, threatening other gang members during the day. You could tell it's during the day on the videos. I think that's what brought the violence out earlier. I'm usually like a 3 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning guy in the precinct. I stay here in the evening hours because that's when I know we might take violence. So, we did make sure there was executive coverage during the day for the last 2 weeks to make sure all the guys were out the house and make sure we had a lot of cops out in the street. Hopefully it stops. I think it was just a rarity because we do not take shootings at 9 a.m. And I'm a precinct commander now for 6 years. So I've never seen a rash of shootings during the day. And also we took a couple of shots fired during the day. It was on the day of the police funeral. They might have seen that as an opportunity of just a lot of cops at the funeral, a time where maybe the precinct was a little bit light. I'm not 100% on that, but I think they might have saw an opportunity,
well, Inspector, I just want to introduce also, we have our Pastor Straker, who's from the God Squad, and he's very involved in some of the responses. I'm sure, Inspector, you probably know each other.
Yes, they helped us out last night. Thank you guys. The God
We
Squad.
were sitting together. By the way, the commissioner was the police commissioner was supposed to sit next to us, but I don't think she showed, because unless she was there and I didn't know how she looked. But
No, she had to, she had another engagement she had to get to.
oh, all right. Inspector, I think the question we have as a community, as a community board, when we go back to the community board by the full meeting, I think people want to know, for one, are there any areas of crime that simply aren't safe? That's number one. Are there certain places we should be avoiding? And number two is, what can we as a community do to respond, either to help law enforcement or to help the God Squad? And I'm going to ask, after your response, please, if the pastor could also respond. Listen, what can we as a community, how can we respond and either help with the prevention or intervention at this point? Because we all love this neighborhood, all of us, no matter, all the different people that live here, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Black, whether you're Hasidic, whether you're white, we all love this neighborhood, everybody living here. And we all want that our children and our family should be safe. We want to work together in common cause. And I think from my stamp, I'm thinking, what can I do to help? How can we help? How can we as a board help? How can we as a committee help?
I think as a community, it doesn't take parents to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child, right? And I think when some of these kids are falling off the track at 12, 13, as a community, whether the Jewish community, the Caribbean community, we all have to come together and give these kids another outlet rather than get involved in gangs and street wars over absolutely nonsense. I mean, the fight this last 2 weeks is all of a complete nonsense. And
An Instagram post, right?
I think we have to maybe point their hormones and aggression in another direction, that we could some of these kids, they never graduated high school, and now they're 20 years old and they're shooting at each other. But when you go back to look, it really happened earlier, where that maybe we could have helped them. So I think more teenage programs, and we have the Good Explorer program in our precinct. We have a graffiti coordination program now, where we're trying to clean up the neighborhood with kids in the neighborhood, painting over graffiti. We also have the YCOs. They do a basketball team. They do a football team. The Blue Chips. It just ended because of the season. But just keeping these kids engaged. I think that's really the goal. We keep them engaged, and stop from joining a gang or somebody that's going to harm them or put violence in their head. That's a good thing to do. I think the God Squad's a step in the right direction, and I think all clergy, the Jewish clergy too, any way they can help out.
And are there parts of crimes which you would say are not safe now as this ongoing gang violence goes on, or just be careful, watch your surroundings, and live life?
I would just be careful, watch your surroundings, and live life. They're targeting specific individuals. They're not random acts of violence.
I know, but we all remember there was a stray bullet killed, an aide to the governor a few years ago. I'm worried more about not assassinations. People are scared to walk.
Right. That was also on Juve. That's a night, that's very hard to control. We had a very good, successful Labor Day weekend last year. We took no shootings, not only no shootings, we took no incidents of shots fired. So,
Wow.
we were very successful working with the community, and we did post a lot of police officers around the area where that shooting incident took place. And I think we made it a point to show a large police presence where we're not going to tolerate crimes like that. And I thought we did a very good job. These cops, I got to commend them. They really, we worked 2 days straight, and we took no acts of violence, so they should be applauded.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Inspector Hayward, this is Fabian Milburn. I'm Chief of Staff and Chief Legal Officer for the Brooklyn Museum. And I just wanted to really chime in and say, one of the things that we spotted and we really have been focusing on at the Brooklyn Museum is engaging kids at every level in education, right? Not just at the teen level, but really bringing in kids at a very young age, at like 4 and 5 years old, habituating them to what the museum offers. And the theory there is, number one, education, but also giving them an outlet to like come do something productive and showing them that, there's another way to occupy your time. So that's one of our big emphasis for the museum. So I'm happy to help in whatever way I can. If we can steer things your way and, work with the police on that, we'd be more than happy to.
That's awesome. Yeah, maybe we could actually set up some Explorer trips there and stuff. I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Whenever I'll put my email address in the chat.
Okay.
And like I said, if
There's
you
no,
ever want,
there's no chat, so why don't you send it, Mia will provide it to.
Yes, send it to Officer Biblova, and Victoria, you're out there, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, just send that. I think that's a great idea. We should set up a trip with the Explorers, maybe to the museum. I mean, maybe we could make it like a bi-monthly thing, something get these kids interested in.
that would be awesome. And then also what we can do, we have specific program coordinators and tour guides that are trained to take kids through the museum. So like an adult experience is going to be much different. Kids are going to be interested in different things. So we have specific tour guides for our kid audience.
Cool. I want to take a trip too one day.
You're more than welcome. I don't know what the guidelines are, but I always say this, you all are always welcome to come to the museum.
Thank
And
you.
Yakov, I haven't seen you there in a month of Sunday, so I don't want to hear what you have to say.
I want to ask the pastor to please maybe give the committee a brief overview of what the response is. The law enforcement response is very important and tremendous, and we have tremendous respect for NYPD. But I also want to hear, I know there's other teams working closely with law enforcement and responding and trying to de-escalate the situation. If you could give us a quick and brief overview of what that is, and if there's any way we as a community we could assist you or help you or support you.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, Yakov. Good evening to each and every one of you. Good evening, Inspector. And I see P.O. Bibilova.
Yes,
Good
got
to
it.
see you. With the 67 Precinct Clergy Council, we do a lot of work as a liaison between the community and our cops. And we try to lessen the tensions because we realize that we all need each other. As the inspector was talking about, the village that's necessary to provide public safety. And as we're looking at the rash of shootings in our communities, we realize that it's going to take all of us to try to get to these young people. Unfortunately, I feel like we've lost a generation. I think the older generation, we had a lot more control. You had Big Mama, all of them that made sure we went to church, and there was a moral compass. But somewhere along my generation, it seems like we have failed our young people. And so we have to take ownership of this. I think we need to get back as a community and begin to do what is right by the younger ones that are coming up. I don't know exactly how we can really get to the ones that are really hardcore right now, although I do believe deep down inside of their hearts, there is still a lot of room for redemption. I mean, a lot of these shooters, if you look at them, are 16 and 15 years old. These are still babies. And guns are being put in their hands in the parks. They're being recruited at 10, at 11, at middle school. And a lot of times we tend to look at in the high school age, but we need to start looking at elementary schools now and start getting in there into the schools and start talking about some of these issues and the struggles and the things that these young people are going through. A lot of these kids are just looking for attention, and the gangs are providing it for them. And so, you know, there really isn't anything wrong with a gang. It's the gang culture. And you have people that belong to gangs, and then you have gang bangers. And it's the gang banging and the illegal activity that's bad. But you know, when they are just trying to find groups where they're loved and they're appreciated, that means there's a gap at home. That means there's a gap in the community. And we've got to get back in being that village. And I believe that clergy can play a strong role. Like you guys are in the 7-1. You're in a very unique area. And I say it's unique because a lot of times, and a lot of times people don't like to talk about it, but there's a white elephant in 7-1, and it's in the faith-based community. You have the Jews on one side, the Jewish community on one side, and you have the Black clergy on the other. And there seems to be this dividing wall of hostility. And I believe when that wall comes down, when faith leaders can work together and take care of Crown Heights and the surrounding neighborhoods, I believe that's going to spill over into the communities as well. And so you're asking, well, what can we do? I think the first thing that has to happen, that there can't be just the Jewish community or Jewish faith leaders and Black clergy. I think faith leaders need to come together and see it as our community, our problem, our children, and start sharing the resources that they have in order to give these children hope. They want hope. And right now they don't see hope where they live. They don't see hope in their situation. But if you can give them opportunities like what we do at the Flatbush Leadership Academy, we take young children and we pair them with mentors. We pay them a stipend. Some of them, they don't know how to get money. And so illegal activity is what they end up in. But there's so much that the Jewish community, I admire the Jewish community for their financial strength and financial intelligence. Imagine if you were to share some of that with some of the young people who are less fortunate or may not, parents may not have been financially sound or savvy. All of these things that we can take a lot of things from our communities and from our backgrounds and input it into our children and build hope. And it's gonna start with faith-based leaders coming together, breaking down those walls in Crown Heights, breaking down those walls in the 7-1, and really coming together and taking interest into the children who are created in the image and carry the breath of God. So I hope I kind of answered some of the questions, but
I think you did. I think
Yeah.
you did. Well, I want to just comment on what you said. That I
Yeah.
think that I'm a child of Crown Heights and I've lived here my whole life. I think that in the last, let's say, 35 years, I mean, we've seen on a leadership level, on like faith leaders between themselves, or even with elected officials and leaders in both communities, I think have great and open communication. I think the challenge is that on the streets, on a grassroots level, there's still a lot of hostility. I think some of it has to do with poverty, gentrification, stereotypes. And I agree with you that we do have a lot more to do. I'm welcome to stand with you and work together with you hand in hand. And I think that, like we're talking about today, about a breakfast, I think like this committee, for example, has Hasidic Jews, has members of the Black community, has other groups, and we work together in common cause for the betterment of the community. And I don't think ever race or faith ever caused any divide in this committee, because we all want the same thing. We want a community where we can be safe, and we want to live, and we want to support our families. And we look forward to working with you together. And if there's something we could do in this situation, either the community board or if you think in the Jewish community you could do more, I'm happy to help you, work on that.
so are you guys familiar with the 71st Precinct Clergy Council?
I am, Mr. Cohen. No?
No. The 71st Precinct Clergy Council with Pastor Honeywell.
I believe I know him, yes.
Yeah, he would be a good person to get in contact with to see how, you guys could work together.
Of course.
I believe great things could come out of the relationships, but you're right. all of the work that everyone comes together and the resources they can share, it'll go a long way. Definitely. Because there's some kids in the community that just don't feel like they have any hope.
Right.
And we've got to treat each child as if it's our own. You know, they should not see someone else in the community feeling like, well, they belong to a different group of people. They feel like they're better off in life. No, let's make every child in our community have that opportunity. And I think that in the unique situation that your community is in, you have a wealth of resources that you can share and help build up one another.
Thank you. We also have a lot of poverty. We have both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to, before we go to the liquor license, I want to give the community and the committee members a chance to comment or ask any questions. Tessa, would you, anything you would like to add to this conversation, or you're muted.
Yes, thank you. I would like to speak to the precinct, is he a captain?
Inspector,
Inspector, just for my own edification, could you share some of the?
Tessa, introduce yourself to the inspector.
Okay, Inspector, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Tessa Hackett Vera, and I believe either myself or another person might be the longest serving member of the community board, but that's irrelevant. One of the
I believe
things
she's
that
the longest member on the board.
it's either me or Stuart Balberg. I'm not sure. Stuart might have me beat by a year or two. At any rate, one of the things I'm interested to know, Inspector, is what kinds of things are our young people shooting each other around? Are you able to share?
Rap videos, like dissing each other on rap videos.
Oh, so it's
what's
not
starting,
even
huh?
it's not even like
Not even money.
major things. It's
No.
not anything major. It's just disrespect. The word I've been hearing for the last 25 years. Disrespect.
Yep, that's it.
Oh boy. Yeah,
And so
taking lives
you know-
around disrespect is that's troubling. Yeah,
You know,
really
I
is.
would say to that, if you, sorry to cut in, but I would dare say that I think at some point in time, we also need to hold some of these outlets accountable for the music that they're playing. This drill music has really gotten out of hand, and YouTube makes a lot of money off of these artists that are putting out this stuff on YouTube. I think it's time to have a meeting with YouTube creators. We saw the DJ on Hot 97, who was also helping make this music. He said, I'm going to stop playing this. I forgot his name. I think it's DJ Drewski. He said, I'm going to stop playing this because I'm seeing too many kids' lives being taken over this. And I think if we can get to the DJs, we can get to these people that continue to push out this music, that there's no more of an outlet for it. I think that would help deal with a lot of this drill music and all of this stuff that's being put out there as well.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Tessa, you're muted again. Any other questions from the committee or the community? Tessa,
Yes, forgive me, Rabbi Berman. Yes, Pastor, could you tell me what church you're affiliated with?
I'm with Reflections Church. I'm the lead pastor of Reflection Church in East Flatbush on Utica, 1078 Utica at the corner of Beverly. And of course, on the clergy lead team for the 67th Precinct Clergy Council.
67 precinct. And you said, and Rabbi Berman, you know the other pastor that's of the head of the 71st Precinct Clergy Council?
we've met. But it's not a problem to you want me to bring him to the meeting?
Yes, please. Would you? Does anyone else think that's a good idea?
Yes, so me, if you could make a note of that, and we'll make that happen.
Because he's the one that we really need to liaison
I
with.
think maybe we should bring next month clergy, like a wide group of clergy. Maybe we should bring a number of people to the meeting and see and talk about what we could do, and maybe include some other leaders as well.
Absolutely, Rabbi. Because he's the one that we can offer our assistance to. He's the one that could give us a sense of what's happening in the 71st.
You'd have to include Terry Lee in that as well, because we've been working with him for years and he knows
Sure.
ins and outs from when he used to have his, be a pastor on Utica Avenue also. So he knows a lot about Crown Heights.
Was he on the Hudson, the Councilmember Hudson's call Friday?
I'm not.
No, he wasn't.
No,
But he's a part of our 6-7.
okay.
All right, so I could work with the pastor. We could create a group of people and bring.
Either one, if you had both of them on, I think that would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No, we're gonna be, we want to inclusive. We want to be inclusive. Anybody that can help, we would like to include them.
Indeed.
Honeywell, Rashad Moore of First Crown Heights Baptist. He's also very powerful. Terry Lee, also very powerful.
Thank you.
Is Mia getting these names?
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions from the community or from the committee? Mr. Pearson? I saw your hand was raised before. I thought it was raised before. Any questions, either for the inspector, for the pastor, or for the officer? I'm scared to pronounce your last name. I'm just because I don't want him to get it wrong.
You got it, Bibalova.
The Belova. You should know that the both elected officials and police departments, they start in a lot of the senior elected officials today, the Attorney General, the mayor, and several of the police commissioners all started off in 74 in Crown Heights, and within the police department, those in senior positions over the years started off in 71st. A lot. Is that correct, Inspector? Right?
Yes, myself, I had to go to a meeting at a synagogue in March, I believe, or May, and me and Ray Kelly had a nice sit down.
Oh, I know that you. I know. All right, sure.
And me and Ray Kelly right here. See it?
Yeah.
So he a lot of the same people he dealt with as the CO here in the 80s. It's still a lot of the same people, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So Rabbi Sperling, Devora, Richard Green.
But I think.
A lot of the same guys.
All right, so I think, thank you, Inspector, thank you, Officer, and thank you, Pastor, for joining us. We
Thank
will
you.
follow up and we will continue this conversation. And I think that in addition to the intervention, prevention is also important, like the pastor said, and little small, you think sometimes a small gesture, you think it's small, but really the impact could be quite big and quite powerful. Maxine Barnes has a question.
Hi, good evening, community. Hello, everyone. Hello, Inspector Haywood. Nice to see you. Sorry I joined late. If someone would be kind enough to just give me a quick overview of what we discussed. I understand the agenda was changed, so I'm not certain what happened here.
So the agenda was not changed, the order was changed. And I would be happy to provide both a recording of this meeting and the minutes, but I don't think we're gonna do an overview now at this point, I'm sorry. But thank you for your interest, and we will definitely provide a recording.
I wanted to
Hello,
ask,
Inspector. How are you?
how is Sterling and Nostrand doing?
Thank you, Inspector. Thank you. I really appreciate what you've done. Not just me, the entire community appreciates what you're doing. We don't have to discuss it formally because obviously the chair doesn't want to have time.
No, you could
Thank
talk.
you. Thank you very much. It is a market improvement. And I really want to get back to you. So I want to share some thoughts with you because I see what's going on with the eyes view. And I want to, because we have been corresponding anyway. So I apologize. I came in late because my ID wouldn't work, etc. But the quick answer is yes, market improvement, but I have something that I want to share with you. So
All right.
I'll email you.
Very good. And I
Love
will,
you, Inspector. Thank you for recognizing me.
I'll do my
Despite
best.
how share. You're
I'll
doing
do
a
my
wonderful job. I have pictures with Fox, with all of them too. I go back to Kelly and Richard Green. You see the gray hair. I'm sure I'm older than you.
I thought you were 30 years old.
Faking it to make it, Inspector. Thank you. Thank you so much.
May I, Ms. Barnes? Ms. Barnes,
You.
hello?
It's all yours.
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead.
Yes, Ms. Barnes, we're very sorry that you joined us late. And I just want to publicly state for the record that it was to your efforts that Sterling and Nostrand is not the problem it used to be. And I'm glad that you were on the forefront of making, working closely with the 71st precincts to effectuate the change that happened on that corner, basically all four corners. You know, right in front of close by to where you live, and across the street in front of the restaurant, and even by the 2 subway entrances and exits. So it was to your efforts and was for your driving force initiatives that got that corner to a better state and a better place. And if we could emulate that throughout the district, you know, we will be in good shape. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for acknowledging that. And my question to you, Tessa, I forwarded the emails, the correspondence to CV9 in general, as well as to the chair Jakob. Did you see those emails in relation to the 4 corners?
I'm not sure that I did, but
Okay.
I don't check my email every day, so don't hold me to the fire on that.
Okay, and what about you, Chair?
Yeah,
Chair
you would have to
Jakob?
tell me, you would have to tell me what period of time that was, and I could check.
It was right up until the incident. It was right before and subsequent to Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Actually, I sent out the alarm before the shootings. I forwarded it again
Talking
to,
about the lights?
no, I'm not talking about the light. I'm talking about Christmas Eve. There was a shooting where 5 people were shot, 1 fatally, I believe, and it followed New Year's Eve. But even before that, I asked for the attention of the CV9 to partnership with me to address it. I forwarded it to CV9 in general, as well as I forwarded it to you, Jakob. But I guess, you know, you didn't see it. It's okay. Thank you, Tessa.
Mia, if you could look up those emails and forward it to me now, I'd appreciate it, all right?
Sure.
Thank you.
Just so you guys know, one of the issues in that corner also is we have very good video in that corner, and there's the scaffolding. They kind of built the scaffolding with these green boards on all sides of the camera. I don't know if anybody is in touch with ownership over there, the building owner.
What's the address again?
It's directly on Sterling and Nostrand on that corner. There's a green
Mr.
scaffolding.
Pearson, do you know the owner, Sterling and Nostrand? I don't know if he's there, yeah.
But just
That's 350 Sterling Street, I believe, the address. That's where the Jamaican jerk chicken is and where the scaffolding, they're fixing.
yeah, that green scaffolding, the boards
Yeah.
around it. It's like
Yeah.
it's like they purposely put them around the camera right there. That camera's a great deterrent.
Yeah,
You know, when I
It's
turn it
an
on,
It's an NYPD camera?
yeah, I can turn it on from my office. If I see people drinking, I can tell them right away, guys, go over there, write some tickets or move them along.
Mhm.
Right now, when I turn it on, I see green boards, like you know, it's not, they're kind of killing the purpose of the camera being there.
Mia, if you send us the address, we could maybe try to reach out to the owner and see if we can get them to move it or change it. I'm not sure.
Inspector Hayward, understand in the past, Fox, et cetera, before you, they had did the same thing, and you have to realize that the undesirables will tamper with those cameras as well.
I'll put it higher up if I can. I'll keep putting it higher. But listen, I put the guy steady there for 2 months, 24 hours a day.
I see him, I seen it.
Now I got a car, it's mobile. I put it Nostrand on from Sterling to Hawthorne, doing laps back and forth with the lights on. So we have a pretty good police presence there. So I think, you know, any more issues, I'll put the fixed post there 24 hours a day.
Okay, thank you, because it is important. We have 2 schools, we have the train station. It's, you know, it's so much to be protected on those corners. And it's been going on for too long. They have taken ownership of our corners and we have to stop it.
The
We really
problem
do.
is the second I put a cop on Sterling, it, you know, it moves guys down further down to Fenimore and start drinking. Then I put a
Right.
cop at Fenimore, it moves them down to Hawthorne. So I just gotta keep moving and moving and moving. I don't have that many cops, but I'll try
I'll
my best.
email you because I have some information I want to give you.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Inspector, do you still have the lights on Lefferts and Nostrand?
The light towers,
Yes.
I moved 5 of the light towers and I put them up all around of Ebbets Field because of the problem we have in Ebbets Field. So I put 5 light towers surrounding Ebbets Field.
Oh, okay, so
And by-
those were the
and by-
light towers that were moved, okay.
Yeah, and I put one on President Nostrand.
Oh, yeah, okay, I've seen that one.
Well, thank you, Inspector. Thank you, Officer. Thank you, Pastor. We're going to move on now to the liquor licenses. We have 2 renewals. We really appreciate both what you do and that you took the time to come.
No
And
problem.
thank you so much. And we will be in contact going forward if we create this clergy group, and we'd love to work with you. And like I said, I personally have tremendous respect for NYPD and what you do every day. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Mia, we have the 2 liquor licenses here, right?
No, we just had representation from the museum, so just one.
Great.
Hi, I'm Barbara Kwan. I'm counsel for the licensee at the museum. We have Mindy Birnbaum, who's their in-house counsel. We have Gary Bedigan, who's the senior director of venue operations, and we have Fabian Milburn, who's chief of staff and chief legal officer. So we're all here to answer any questions you have, but I'd really like to stress the simplicity of what we submitted and the request that we're making, which is we are requesting a change in method of operation, which sounds very serious and official, but I would like to make it clear that the museum will continue to operate as the museum. What I discovered, because I'm new counsel to the licensee, is that in the past application from 2015, 2 boxes were not checked off in the application, and that was more of a clerical administrative error, which is the use of occasional DJs and dancing. As everyone on this board knows, the museum is home to First Saturdays, pre-COVID and hopefully in the future. So it's not a daily use, it's special occasions, First Saturdays, and that activity has conducted, and we are permitted to have live music and background music. It was just an omission from previous council that they didn't check the box DJ and check the box dancing as part of the method of operation. So that I'm just trying to correct the record and bring everything up to date from a licensing standpoint. The SLA just requires all this formality, which is the 30-day notice to the board. And we urgently want to get this submitted to the State Liquor Authority, just because the State Liquor Authority is taking 6 to 8 months to approve applications, even ones this minor.
The waiver.
Yeah, the waiver of the 30-day would be greatly appreciated, because that would.
Tessa. Is Tessa there? Traditionally, Mia, are you still on? Traditionally, waivers.
Yes, I'm here.
We've done waivers in the past without a full board vote. I have no objection. If Tessa and Yankee have no objection, just to giving them a waiver. They're located in the museum. We know them. They've been around for years. They're reputable. They're honorable. I think we should just give them a waiver, and that's it.
That would be greatly appreciated.
Rabbi, do we have any precedents for this?
Yes, a lot of precedents. We've given all a waiver means is they don't have to wait the extra time.
Okay.
If you go direct. It's not. They have to fit your criteria. You have a certain amount of time, like for a new liquor license, for example. I think it's 60. What is it? 30 days.
It's always 30-day notice.
30 days. So they save themselves, that month.
Okay. So if
We've done it
we
many
have precedents.
times. Done it many times over the years.
Okay.
For different applicants for especially during COVID. We had several during COVID that business owners were had to renew, or they needed a waiver in order to get that license back or not expire. They could stay open with all the financial difficulties. We've never had an issue with that.
Okay, well, is Yankee still with us as to voting
Yeah.
committee members
We
to
call
make
him.
two? Is Yankee still with us or not?
He's with somewhere, but let me get him on the phone. Make sure.
I think I still see him on the call. And if, I mean, we should have no real problems with anything, any business being operated within the museum. So if there's precedence, then I'm a yes vote.
We don't even, I don't think we even have to vote on this, Tessa.
Okay, all right.
And if I may, if the community board has its own form of waiver, I welcome it to be emailed to me. But if it doesn't, we tried to make things easier. And in our cover letter to the community board, we gave a signature block for the community board to sign acknowledging its waiver. We've been successful in submitting that as well, but I defer to the board as to what format they want to submit their waiver.
So Mia, you there?
I'm here. I think the best way to do this, since we've done waivers before, essentially what I'll do is just rescan the form to you guys, just give basic bullet points for the members, the committee members who are not present tonight. You know, this is what is the ask is and what the waiver looks like, so you guys can move forward and they don't have to attend general board.
You say you want us to, you say you were suggesting we run it by the other committee members.
No, it just is an FYI.
All right, great. So let's do that.
Yeah, essentially. We can
Thank
just
you, Mia. And then
we
if
can
that could
draft
be,
the correspondence tomorrow, and then we can just send it to the committee as a FYI with just the bullet points to advise them, these are the only minor changes, and this is what the waiver covers. Simple.
Yeah, but I think we should advise the other committee members because people have short memories.
Oh, most definitely. That's why I'll send it over first thing tomorrow.
Very good.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. for
Thank you,
joining.
Mia, and thank you, Tessa, and thank you, Rabbi Yakov. I appreciate it.
Good to see you again. Didn't we see each other by the Labor Day parade?
Yes, we did. I marched with you
Right.
for West Indian Day. But you still never came to the museum.
While you're watching the cameras?
No, I invited you in, but I think you were talking to somebody else. It kind of like we dispersed after a while, but that's the last time I saw you.
Thank you. We'll be in touch. Good luck. Bye.
All right.
All right, thank you so much.
Very much.
Bye-bye.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.